All right. We still have about a minute till it's officially straight up noon, but just wanted to get rolling with a few housekeeping things. This format is just a webinar, so you don't need to be on camera. I think you're muted automatically once you log in. If you have any questions along the way throughout the webinar, just feel free to use the chat feature and I'll try to address your questions as quickly as possible in that manner. The session is being recorded, so anyone that registered will get a link for the recording. After I've had a chance to produce that and edit that, I will send out an email to anyone who registered, whether you are able to stay for the whole thing or not. You'll get a copy of that link. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple of days. And you should be seeing my contact information on the screen. Hi, I'm Marilyn. My contact info is my first name at HAR is just my email address, and then you can see my phone number there as well. I'm a full-time employee at HAR, so this is basically what I do. So if you need any help with these tools or something else related to Matrix or any of the other tools that I'm not able to cover in this brief overview today, just feel free to reach out and let me know how I can be of help. The tools we're going to cover today are part of the Platinum package, and it is just an overview. I only have an hour and a half to cover a handful of tools. There are about 20-some tools in the Platinum package, so just simply couldn't fit them all into an hour and a half overview. But I pulled out some of the few that I think are going to be the easiest to get started with and get moving on, and may already be available to you. You may already be using them rather and kind of don't really know that. So looking at the screen, starting off with the agent branded app and open house app. The HAR app that you use to scan into CE classes is the same old app, the same app that you might use to search for property. There's a little golden nugget, I call it, hidden in plain sight there on the opening page of your HAR app. I'll show you here on the screen in just a few moments. There are some few hidden golden nuggets built into your website just by setting up the website itself. You're opening up a lot of lead capture potentials. We've got a lot of forms on that page where a consumer can request a CMA. They can search for property, but all of the property, say, presented by you, again, offering up lead capture possibilities on those properties that even if you have no listings, you're presenting all of the MLS with that presented by. The virtual office website is an add-on piece to the member website. Client experience rating is as well. Some of you may be familiar with the rating program already. Again, I'll do visuals on all of these here in just a moment. And then we have automatic social media posting in the marketing center, which is the second to last item on my bulleted list here. There are other ways to create advertising pieces and social media shares in the marketing center. And then we'll talk just briefly about Facebook and Google ads, the Market Insight and home site pages. Market Insight is an automatic email that you can send to your consumers, either the sellers that you already have or prospective clients that are trying to get. You can send out that Market Insight. And then the home site is an additional page to market your listings. Once you have that listing and it's an MLS, the system will automatically create what's called the home site, single property website for your listings. And then last but not least, Idx Tools and Widgets. If you have a non-HAR website and you want to incorporate some of these pieces into that non-HAR page, then we've got the tools for that as well. All right. So just kind of getting started with the HAR branded app. If you want to pull out your phone and look at it while I'm going through, that's just fine. Again, it is something that you might already be familiar with. Let's see if I can get, I've got so many Zoom windows open here where I can see it a little better. All right, so when you're looking at your HAR app, again, right below your name on the home page or the first screen of opening the app, it says My Branded App. If you tap on My Branded App, it'll take you to the next page where you can invite consumers. I'm on a Droid phone, so it's going to look a little different than your iPhone. I have to click List first to get to my options to invite. On an iPhone, it just says Invite New. And then in the upper right here, I've got this little person. Again, if you're on a Droid, you'll have this little person icon in the top right corner. On an iPhone, you'll just have the words to invite somebody new. The idea behind the branded app is to send a consumer a link to download and install the HAR app, but it's branded with your information. So again, every property that's in MLS will say presented by and have your name on it, whether it's your listing or not. Everything is branded by you. So you're marketing that as a listing that consumer can reach out to you and inquire on, get an appointment, again, use a CMA request, all sorts of different options there. The idea is the more you lay out lead generation opportunities, the more the consumer has the opportunity to reach out back to you, to connect back with you. You can see on mine here, I've invited Joe Consumer. He has accepted my request to install the app. Abe Lincoln was invited but has not yet accepted. He's probably busy being president or something. And then lastly, Kip Martin has also accepted. So these are people that I invited, gave the link to, and then they connected with me. Once we tap on their name, I call it creepy cool. You could go through and notice a couple of different options that they have. View your activity, view the favorites, recently viewed listings, and save searches. So the consumer is going to be searching on their own through the listing database, the MLS database. Again, everything's going to be branded with your name and your contact information. So looking at their activity allows you to know what kind of property that they're looking at. I call this kind of for a lukewarm client, maybe. Maybe you meet somebody at an open house or in line at a Starbucks or something, and you have a conversation about real estate, but they're not quite ready to buy something right now, or they're just not the type that wants you doing their searches. They really want to be the ones that is more hands-on in the searching for property and just wants you to open the door and let them in and help them with the negotiation part of things, but they want to be more hands-on with the searches. This gives them a perfect way to do that. Again, you can see here their activity and recently viewed listings. Even if they aren't saving something as favorites, you can tell what they were looking at. So again, it really gives you an insight into the trend of the type of home that is of interest to them. At the top of the list here, we have recommended listings. So that's another way that you can kind of push something to that client and be helpful to them without something like the matrix auto emails that are going all day, every day, and sending them maybe more than they're really ready for at that particular moment in their search. The recommended listings, you just tap there and then put in some search criteria, search nearby you, and or the custom search. Custom search allows you to search by MLS number or address, so pretty quick and easy way to pull up property. And then they're going to get a push notification in their HAR app that you've recommended that listing to them. Maybe you know of something that's been on the market a while. The price range is slightly higher. It's slightly outside their price range, but it's been on the market a while, so you feel comfortable that you could negotiate it down into their price range. That's a great way to a reason to recommend a listing and push it through to that consumer. So the idea, again, is for them to be able to reach out to you at a moment's notice 24/7. The biggest perk to them is you. They get you on the other end of this app 24/7. So they're able to, again, request information, make appointment requests, just send you email requests. So lots of interaction possible. And then you're able to reach out to them and communicate with them as well, right? So quick and easy to add them. When you're inviting, let me just back up a little bit. Invite new customer would be the scenario that I just talked about. Somebody I didn't know yet, they aren't saved as a contact in my phone, they didn't reach out to me through some sort of form on HAR. It's just somebody brand new to me. So that would be add new customer. The system's going to require their first name, last name, and email address. You could put their phone number in there. You can see there's a toggle to allow the consumer to receive text messages. So again, just fill in the blanks with what you know, and then you're able to push that link and invite them to download your app, right? Looking at the other options, you have add HAR contacts or invite HAR contacts. HAR contacts are somebody that has reached out to you and initiated that contact through an HAR source. So again, maybe they went to your website and filled out a request for information on a property or a CMA or something like that. So that's an HAR contact. You'll likely have the fewest of those just simply because you may have many more people in your phone saved as contacts than you do those that have initiated contact with you through HAR. Import from your phone contacts allows you to, just like it says, import those that you have saved as a contact in your phone. Once you tap on that, you can pick and choose the number of people, whoever it is that you want to invite. So it's not going to mass notify every contact in your phone. You get to pick and choose that. The last option is to just share the link, but not save the contact information. My motherly advice would be to avoid using that one because we want to capture their information. We want to be able to know how to reach that person again. So you would want to at least get their name, first name, last name, and email address. If you just share the branded app, you're not saving that contact information anywhere. So it's still sending them the same link. It's still branding the information on their end with all your contact information, but you lose the benefit of having their information saved to your app and being able to correspond with them in the same way that I talked about just a moment ago. Right? So that brings me to the end of the branded app stuff. Again, it's kind of just hiding in plain sight, I call it. It's put into the branded, it's put into the regular HAR app and kind of easy to find there. See. Oh, good, Deborah. Glad you found it. Great. All right. So that's HAR branded app. Now moving into some of the other HAR tools. Let me just stop the share there and get logged in. Sorry, again, I just have to move several Zoom windows to get there. All right, so here we are at HAR. And if you just go ahead and log in, the next piece up is the agent website. So I know you know what a website is. If you just start typing the term website in the little quick search box here in the center, you'll be able to then find your agent websites that way. You can also just go to Tools, Website and Blog, and manage your website. If you haven't already set this up, on my screen where it says customize your home page, you'll have a box there where you have to type in a web URL, finish out the URL, and complete the setup of the web page before you're able to use any of the features. It's going to be har.com/something. So you get to choose the something, har.com/your name, /your first name, /whatever it is you choose. All right. Just be sure that you're being mindful of the marketing standards, NAR, TXR marketing standards, so that you're not violating any of those. But beyond that, you can pretty much choose what you'd like. And then once you're on this page, on the left menu here, you can see we're on the home page initially. There are some check boxes to turn on and turn off different tools. You just simply check what you want and uncheck what you don't want. And I know you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. You haven't seen it yet, maybe, possibly. So there is a preview option in the upper right corner. So as you uncheck something, you can go preview the page and see where it shows up and see if you like that look or not. It's an instant change. So as soon as you make the check appear, that tool is live on your website. So a consumer would instantly have access to that. So just be mindful of that. If you'll notice in the upper right corner of mine, I've made mine not visible because I don't want consumers finding me the way that you guys would. You would probably want everything visible on this page. So just click the little eyeball or the word visible or invisible. If it isn't already visible, you want it to say visible, unlike mine, all right? So I'm not licensed. As an employee, we don't practice. So I'm steering away from consumers where you're trying to seek them out. Also, a little further down on my page here, you can see the blog. I have my blog, again, unchecked just because I'm using it as a staff person, not as a practicing agent. But just check and uncheck, again, those that you want to feature. I know blogs kind of get a bad rap. It's not part of my presentation today, but HAR does offer you a blog template as well as your website template. If you haven't blogged before, each blog entry is like a little baby website. So it just gives you that much more findability on the internet. So if you have written an article on foreclosures, let's say, in your blog, somebody Googles foreclosures, you're going to come up as one of the top results of that search for that consumer. So a little plug for blogs. We also offer a link to House Logic, which is free content available to all NAR Realtor members. So lots of ways to find content for blogs on that site as well as out just generally on HAR and Realtor.com. That content can also be used from House Logic to create custom pages here on your website. So back up in the upper left menu there, custom pages, and then add new page here. You can see you can fill in the blanks pretty easily. You'll know what's required. The title, there's a place for an image, and then the content of your page. And then you just simply click create. Again, it's live immediately, so you want to make sure that you're, ready to go before you click on that create button down at the bottom. But it allows you to have some custom content online for consumers. Let me just pull my website up here for you to give you an example. This is the preview of what the web template looks like right now. You get to choose this background image. I am always looking to get to the beach, to sit by a campfire and drink some coffee. This is me in a nutshell. So that's why I chose that picture. Again, you might choose something more real estate related, like a Houston skyline or houses or something like that. You can choose from our catalog, or you can upload your own. So you have plenty of options, again, to customize that to make it look and feel like your own. If we scroll down just a little bit, those check boxes I was talking about a little bit earlier, where you check for CMA request and home finder and things like that, all of those boxes that I checked to enable make a feature show up. So that's where that shows up to a consumer. And then you'll write your own bio and upload your own photo as well. I'll show you here in just a moment where you can do that. And then that custom content that I started off talking about here, I've created those custom pages, top 10 best secrets for buying and for selling. Again, I've got a headline here. I uploaded an image, and then here's the content of that page. I actually Googled some key terms trying to find a good resource of information. I found these articles on HGTV, so I'm citing that source and making sure I'm giving credit where credit's due. And then I've got some really great content I simply copied and pasted. So as long as you're aware of what it says, that you are in agreement with what it says, and that you could answer questions about that, nothing would be worse than having a page out on your internet, on your website, and having a consumer reach out to you with questions about it, and you having to say, I don't know, that's just something I copied off of realtor.com or the Houston Chronicles webpage or something like that. So again, just if you do the copy and paste and borrow from another source, cite the source so that credit's given where credit is due, and then read the whole thing, make sure you understand it, make sure you can talk about it educatedly if you do get questions. All right, so that is custom pages. And then there's something called slideshow as well. So that's just kind of a shorter, sweeter preview of some information. You may have noticed it's sliding along here. Give it a moment and it will slide. So what's happening in Sugar Land is what I had, homes zoned to KDISD, links back to those pages I created, advertising my upcoming fake open house and my fake new listing. So just whatever it is that you can think to put a line or two to kind of capture the interest of a consumer, that's what the slideshow is about. So really great place to feature, again, an open house or a new listing, or an event that you might be wanting to drum up attention for, right? So the slider, I was impatient and I clicked the arrow to make it slide, but it slides on its own. Right. We do have a class called How to Manage Your HAR Website, which will go into much more detail on building the web page. It's a 2-hour-long class, and you have CE credit for that, so you'd get your 2 hours of CE. And they'll go through all the menus, and you'll be hands-on creating the website at that moment, right? Moving on into the next thing that we were going to talk about in this webinar is the VOW, Virtual Office Website. This is an add-on. So once you've gotten your web page kind of built up and all of the basics enabled and incorporated the way you'd like, you could add on this Virtual Office Website piece. So once I click on the Virtual Office Website menu there, I'll click Manage your Virtual Office Website. This is very much like the agent branded app. It's just the web-based version. So the exact same functions I talked about at the beginning of the webinar, with the app being able to be shared, having folks register and connect to you. The biggest perk that they get from the branded app is you. Some of the other perks that they get in registering with you, either through the branded app or this Virtual Office Website, are the actual sold prices of properties in the greater Houston area. So if it's sold through MLS, they'll be able to see that sold price. Consumers love sold prices. So that's another big perk that they get by registering and connecting with an agent. Again, either the HAR app or this web-based version will allow them to see that information. They also then see a brief history of the property, just the MLS number, the current MLS number's history. So any price changes or status changes with the most recent MLS entry is what they'll see. You as a Realtor member always have more information. So you're seeing the full property archive of every property, price change, status change, agent change. We just give the most current history to the consumer. All right. So again, looking at the dashboard, it's just showing you who has already subscribed to you. On my page, I've already got it enabled. If you hadn't already, you'd have a button to opt in and turn on essentially that feature. So you'd need to click that button first. What it does is it makes this little button show up on your website. So in the very top right corner, see where mine says sign up to view premium content. If you register, if you enable that feature, the consumer can click there and register. And then anytime that they sit down and use a computer to look at har.com, they'll see everything branded with your information. They'll see sold prices on sold property, and they'll see that reprice history. So you may always have those types of consumers that just simply don't prefer a smartphone. They want to sit down at a computer and do it instead. So same functionality, two different platforms to do it in or start it from, right? The option here, another option that you have is to promote that. If you notice the button, great. I don't know that a lot of folks notice that there is a button up there. If you put your consumer hat on for a second, I wouldn't go to a website, see a button that says click here to sign up, and then just go ahead and put my name and my email address in there. I'm going to want to know more about what it's going to give me, why I should sign up, what's the benefit to me, what's the perk. So this is a really great opportunity to advertise that, market that, and then encourage them to fill out the forms based on your description. Back in the member portal where we're building it, you'll notice we have a promote option. This gives you the quick links to, share the link to register out on different social media platforms. So if I were to make a Facebook post, let's say, and explain to them, if you register with me today, you get to see premium data like sold prices, and I'll be your go-to agent 24/7. I'll be on the other end of that, waiting for your to help you answer your questions or anything like that. So the verbiage that you use to share it and promote it on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it might be will be the key to that. If you just wait for folks to come to your website and kind of fall over that button and take advantage of it, well, then you're going to have many fewer leads generated because it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind up in that corner. Right? Hope that makes sense. My words kind of got tangled up there at the last part of that sentence. All right. Any questions so far? And let me just check my chat here and make sure. Doesn't look like it. All right. So moving on into the next piece here. Kind of another add-on to your website is client experience rating. As you can probably deduce, most of our tools are going to be in the tools menu. Website and blog is where I headed a moment ago. Now ratings and reviews is where I will head for this piece. And client experience rating specifically. And again, I have nothing because I'm not really representing customers and doing any real estate business. I'm just a fake agent in using the tools in a fake way. Looking at the rating detail, you would have listings here. If you have closed on any transaction through MLS, you'll receive an email from our system to have an opportunity to participate in the ratings. Client experience rating is all or nothing, so you have to kind of be mindful of that. It's participate fully or don't participate, and then display all of your results or don't display any of your results. So it's kind of got some very stringent rules about participating and display. The idea, again, is you represented a consumer who closed on a property. You represented the buyer, the seller, the landlord, or the tenant, and it closed through MLS. Once it's put into that sold status in MLS, either by you or the listing agent, if you weren't the listing agent, you're going to receive an email. Thank you for your participation. Congratulations on your closing at 123 Maple Street. There'll be a link in that email that you'll click, and you'll send out the request to the consumer. It does not count against you at all if you don't send out if the consumer doesn't reply. It does count against you if you don't send out the request within 15 days. It's just part of the rules of participation and client rating. You do have to send that request to every client that you closed with. If they don't respond, that's fine. It doesn't count against you. If they do, then great. You get a survey, and then on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being perfect and fabulous and wonderful, you get a rating. And then backing up just a touch here, these opt-in and preference settings, again, display every result that you get on HAR or display none of the results that you get on HAR. You can still see the results. It's just not made public where other consumers can see that. The benefit of allowing consumers to see it, of course, is it's showcasing your reputation, how you have performed, how consumers think that you have done in their deal, what skill sets and what requests that you'll be able to satisfy for them, and how you've been able to handle the business. So the perk of displaying is that other consumers can see that. The last two options are there as well. Opt out of all ratings. You just don't want to do any client experience rating through our system. That's just fine if that's your choice. Real Satisfied is a third-party company. So if you'd rather use that third party, you can certainly do that. You can only use one rating program at a time. You either use Real Satisfied or you use Client Experience Rating, and we'll display the little gold stars. Their system works very similarly. Again, it's a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being perfect and fabulous and wonderful, and 1 being not so much. But it is a third party. So you have to go to realsatisfied.com first and register, and then link the Real Satisfied account to your HAR account to display the results from there, right? Client Experience Rating, again, is our tool. And the last little piece here to promote that, your rating badge. You can see here we've got some different scripts. There's badge with no photo, no name. It's just going to show the golden stars and that you have a 4.96 out of 5 rating. Scrolling down, you've got a couple of different display. Again, I don't have any ratings, so I'm not seeing examples. If you view this and you've had some participation in some property ratings, then you'll see examples of what that would look like as well. But it's just a matter of copying the script and then pasting it to your non-HAR site. We already display your ratings based on this opt-in preference that you select on anything related to HAR. So wherever your name appears, on your listings, on your website, whatever it might be, it will display your ratings as long as you've chosen the second option there. You look here. Micah is asking, I'm aware the app does not filter over to the Matrix portal. What about the VAL? If a prospect registers in the VAL, they are only registering for that one HAR.com piece. So Matrix being a third-party tool, it doesn't sync with the HAR tools, so they are going to be separate. We are working on a CRM. If you already have a CRM, that can be helpful in kind of tracking because you are going to have, the agent branded app, and you have folks that register there. Then you might use the VAL, and you'll have folks register over there. Then you have auto emails and Matrix. So now you've got 3 different databases that you're trying to manage and keep up with. A CRM can really help do that. Right now, they're just 3 separate pieces or several separate pieces. But again, we're working toward being able to have another tool that will help you manage those a little bit better in the near future. We just don't have it ready just yet, right? And then Valerie asked if there's a fee for Real Satisfied. My tongue tied again. Is there a fee for Real Satisfied? No, not that I'm aware of. So again, if you visit realsatisfied.com, you will find all the information there. But no, as far as I know, that hasn't changed at all. They are offering that for free to all HAR members. Okay. Thank you. Great questions. I appreciate that very much. All right. So moving back to client experience rating, just to finish it out a little bit. Again, anywhere that your name appears throughout HAR will show your rating. So on your listings and so forth. There's a little watch and learn option here, which is just a little video which will explain the whole process. And then there is another option to promote, just like we had on the Virtual Office website page. Again, just letting folks know that you have these ratings, tooting your own horn, as the saying goes. If you were to promote this on social media, let's say, if you want a reliable agent who has a great track record, call me today, right? And promote your feedback that you've gotten from other consumers. That might be a way that you promote that. Once you promote it, it links back to your website. So again, any of those consumer forms to search for properties, to request CMAs or more information about their other properties, make appointments, all of that. Again, it's just kind of a circular promotion of all of those pieces. The more pieces that you put out there, the more you might attract consumers. Some may be really interested in ratings and some may not. So in promoting each different piece of the website a little bit differently, you're hitting a different target audience potentially. Even though it's one end place where they come, the website, you're promoting a little snippet of it to attract different types of consumers. I might want to sign up and get premium data and not think that the star ratings are all that relevant. But if you promote a link, then again, it attracts more potential consumer leads. All right. Moving on into more about social media here, the automatic social media posting. Again, a couple of different ways you can get to it. Most all the tools are in the tools menu, so that makes it easy. If you use the quick search bar, if you just start typing social, you'll see automatic social media posting. The name of this one is really self-explanatory. This is going to live in tools and marketing tools, and then automatic social media posting. It is going to somewhat automatically make a social media post for you. Based on Facebook's guidelines in the small print here, it's explaining this to you, but Facebook doesn't really allow third-party posting. So what we do is we craft a social media post for you. You have to just approve it and click a link to post it, all right? The first step would be to connect the different social media outlets that are available. You'll notice that Instagram isn't there because Instagram doesn't allow any third-party posting. It also doesn't allow posting of links. It's just not how it works. So that's why Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are the only ones there. They're the ones that allow it, that we can connect to in the way that we need to and share what we're trying to share. If you scroll down just a bit, you'll see some examples. Anything that happens on your account in Matrix, essentially, is what will be a part of these posts. Whether you get a new listing, price reductions, status changes, open houses, any of that activity that you create in Matrix will then generate the system or activate the system to generate a post for you, all right? And then again, you're going to get an email saying, we have crafted this post, it's waiting ready for you to approve. You have to click the link in that email to approve that. You can then choose whether it goes to your Facebook personal page or your business page. Twitter, of course, just goes to the account on Twitter as it does on LinkedIn. But you do have that choice to switch between personal or business when you're choosing to post to Facebook, right? Again, there's a watch and learn video on this page, which will walk you through all of those steps. I always encourage agents to go ahead and connect the social media platforms, whether you have listings right now or not. Set it and forget it. Go ahead and connect while you're thinking of it, while it's top of mind because I just taught you about it or something like that. And then as you get activity in Matrix, it's automatically going to go ahead and be done for you. Again, you're going to get an email. So be really sure to be on the lookout for those emails that are generated from our system in order to make the post happen. You don't want to forget that important step. All right. No questions. Moving on. I'm going to jump to Marketing Center. Back on the dashboard, again, when you first log into HAR, you might have to scroll down just a touch, creating beautiful flyers, capture leads from potential consumers. This little rotating ad is for the Marketing Center. There are social media options. There are videos there that you can share. Lots of options for generating some printables and shareables if you need to do that. So I'm just going to click on Marketing Center here. And Sharon, I see your hand is raised in the session here. If you'll just pop a message in the chat for me, that would be great. And I will be glad to address your question that way. All right, so looking at this page, again, scrolling down, social media. It starts off with using your listings as a target of social media. Let me just back out here a second and be somebody else. Please never do this. This is against the HAR rules. I just have access to an account that I can use to do training with, but it is against the HAR rules to log in as somebody else. So don't do that. Thank you for putting that in the chat, Sharon. I haven't yet covered anything about phone leads. I was just going to cover web-based leads, those few items that I talked about at the beginning of the webinar. But if you have a question on that topic, feel free to let me know, and I'll be glad to answer it, even though it's not technically part of the curriculum for today. It's just fine. All right, so let me go into Marketing Center here. He has listings, which is why I wanted to pretend to be somebody else. Social media, reach out to potential targets, etc. If you click on Let's Get Started, You can see here are Shad's listings, and I can just click promote off to the side of any one of those listings and be able to create a creative, they call it, so a social media ad for that particular individual property. Also, you can use this search a listing button to look for any home by MLS number or address. So even if you don't have any listings right now, you can make an ad and promote that on social media. Maybe you're going to be the consumer, maybe you're going to be the agent that hosts an open house for Shad. It's his listing, but you're going to be the one physically at the open house 2 to 4 this coming Sunday. So you want to promote it with your own information, your own contact information and name, and you want to promote the date and time of the open house. Search a listing allows you to do that, whether it's your listing or not. So that is very helpful. All right. Again, if you do have your own listings, you can just click promote off to the side, and then it gives you several options here: a rectangle, a square, post, or a story. I associate the square posts more with Instagram and the rectangular posts more with Facebook or LinkedIn, Twitter. It's going to create a graphic for you with the address, the main photo, the #1 slotted photo from MLS, and some information about that open house. It's a hyperlink. It's an image, but it's a linked image. So they'll be able to click on that image and see the information on har.com about the property. The stories, again, could go to Instagram or Facebook. It's just your typical social media stories. Sorry. All right, so then scrolling to the next step or clicking next to move on, you can see the different graphics templates that we have. We've got a just listed. We have information here on just new construction. You can type on some of these and change the text, and you can't change the text on some of the other ones. So it's just a matter of playing around with the template to find the one that works best for you. And once you find the one that you like, just simply click it. It's going to pull the number of photos that will fit the template from whatever's in MLS. So looking at slot number 1, 2, and 3, they're all kind of at the front of the house. They're all really similar. So maybe I don't want those two, but I want some interior photos instead. So as soon as I click photos, it's rearranging the graphic on the right to include those new photos. So really quick and easy way to get a social media graphic pretty quickly. All right. And then you would just simply click done and okay. And there you go. You have a graphic you can download and put in Instagram, since I talked about square graphics being with Instagram, or upload to Facebook, whatever it might be. And then you can type the comment that goes along with that post. So you can say, come visit me on Sunday, 2 to 4 p.m. at my open house at 123 Maple Street, right? Pretty quick and easy to do that. Do you need to have the listing agent's information as a question, permission rather? Sorry, chemo brain's really getting me today. Do we need to have the listing agent permission? You don't, because it's on har.com. You're sharing it directly from HAR. We have what's called an IDX agreement with all brokers and internet data exchange. So basically the broker is in charge, right, of all listings. You're under the umbrella of your broker, and they've already entered into that IDX agreement, which allows agents to share listings in this manner. You're sharing it appropriately, so you're okay. If you were to go to Craigslist and write up something brand new and advertise it in a way that could misconstrue you being the listing agent, that's what you cannot do. So just sharing a link saying, hey, I'm the agent having this open, just be really certain that the verbiage that you type can't be misconstrued in any way, shape, or form that you're the listing agent, and you're fine, especially if you're sharing it either through the HAR app, through Matrix, or through har.com. You're covered. All right. Great questions. Thank you so much. All right. Awesome. Some others are loving it. Thank you for that feedback there. All right. So a couple of different, again, ways that you can share either your own listings or other listings out there. Social media heavy was the focus there on my presentation, but there are printables, like I mentioned at the top of that section, flyers and postcards. Good old-fashioned mail out a postcard still works, right? It just costs us money in a different way than social media does these days. So you just have to be mindful of that. But if you click on Let's Get Started, again, it's pretty straightforward. You either want to create a flyer or a postcard. We've got that kind of wizard-esque walk you through the steps pretty easily on all the different sections of the Marketing Center. Again, you can search a listing. Maybe you participated in the sale of, you're having that open house, whatever it might be, or it's your own listing and you want to promote that listing. Same process as we did just a moment ago. And then again, some different templates for you. This one is open house centric. There are just listed. I want to say there's about 15 different templates. 13 templates. All right. So again, just pick the style, the layout that works best for you. And within a few clicks, you have that creative finished. This one allows you to change the photos, as did the other one. I just didn't talk about it a minute ago. So it's pulling those photos from MLS, but let's say I just had the photographer send me some different photos. I had just some basic cell phone photos in the listing. If you click here to upload, you can actually add new photos. So if you don't want to use the ones that are already in MLS, you can easily do that on any of these creatives. You can preview the front and preview the back. Again, it's going to give you a postcard layout. You're going to need to get the names and addresses. I'll see if I have a little extra time at the end. It's technically not part of this presentation, but I'll show you real quickly in the tax records where you can find the place to do labels and get information to send out to consumers. And then lastly, if it's an open house, again, it would have that information pulling from MLS automatically. And that's it. Since I chose the open house template and it's not a scheduled open house, it's not going to let me go on, but that's okay because it's Shad account anyway. We don't really need to create more creatives. Deborah is asking if there's a just sold postcard. I don't know. I don't think there was a template for just solds. Again, on some of the templates, you can add your own text and edit some of that text. So you could just add in just sold. And you'd have to use that search listings button at the top to pull it up since it would have already been sold. All right. Thank you, Deborah. Great question. Y'all are doing great questions, giving great questions today. Appreciate it. All right. So last little piece that I want to talk about in the Marketing Center are the videos that I kind of hinted at the very beginning. And Micah is asking on the postcards if they're printed and mailed to the agent. So you're just getting the graphic that you're going to print out and or download and upload to a printing service. So you'd have to send it off to be printed and potentially mailed out for you if you have a service that does the mailing as well. All right. It's just going to give you the master postcard and then you can print them yourself or email them to be printed. Right. Thank you. Really good question. Good clarification needed on that one as well. All right, so in the menu of the Marketing Center, top left corner there, if you'll scroll down, got my browser zoomed in a lot so it won't scroll. Video content is where I was headed. If you click video content, there are quite a few videos in here for you to use. On the left of this page here are the geo market areas. You may be familiar with that geo market area terminology from Matrix. It's the kind of commonsensical name of parts of town like 1960, Medical Center, things like that. If you click on Fort Bend County North, Richmond, let's say, that's going to give you the videos that are specific to that particular part of town. And they are a minute or less typically. They are very short and sweet. I'll just share this one with you here real quickly.
We know the market and are here to help you. Welcome to April's Market Update. Let's take a look at residential real estate activity in your area during the month of March. The number of active listings was down 74% from 1 year earlier and down 10% from the previous month. As you can see, the median listing price for the month was just under $410,000. Compared to last year, the average number of days units spent on the market before being sold was down 62%. The median sale price was just over $310,000. The number of units sold increased 15% year over year and increased 22% month over month. Thanks for watching. We hope you use this information to make smart, informed decisions in your upcoming real estate transactions.
All right, so that's an example. And the content of it, the stats are pretty generic. they're specific to April and they're specific to that part of town, but you can share that and create a post that's, I'm the expert in Fort Bend County. Call me today. Here's some examples of how I know my stuff, right? And share those videos. They're already branded with har.com. The little kind of airplane looking icon in the upper right corner is how you share that. So it'll give you a quick share to Facebook, Twitter, email. This last symbol is to embed that. So if you have, again, a non-HAR website that you want to embed this in, you can do that and have a good resource. Again, if you blog, blogs will take the embed code where you can embed the video as part of a vlog entry. So lots of good ways for you to be able to get some information out of the Marketing Center and share that with consumers. If you share this once a month or so, they usually come out around the 10th or so of the month. The second Wednesday of each month is when those new stats are released in our written reports and these video formats. So again, it's just a quick, easy way to look like you have an expertise in that particular part of town, which you may already, but without you having to create your own video. Don't recreate the wheel if you don't have to, right? Again, you've got all those different geo-market areas that are branded with that particular part of town. The homeowner video section here toward the top, these are going to be helpful tips for owners of homeowners, 7 steps to a stress-free home closing, why your bank may not be giving you the best mortgage rate. So just really general sort of helpful, timeless videos. The stats videos are specific to that month, but these are just helpful tips and again, fairly timeless. All of these are available for you guys to use and share. Watch them, just learn a thing or two. Maybe you're not into, maybe you don't do home buying all that often. You're more of a listing agent and you're working with a buyer right now. Maybe you can gain some knowledge there. Again, on the left, you can see all the different categories. So from safety to taxes to remodeling, home selling, home buying, appraisals. So lots of different videos there available for you. Again, free for you to share. It's part of your Platinum subscription. So any of those you can share. The knowledge videos are going to be more on the real estate process, the home buying and selling, why you should choose a realtor. So a little bit more just real estate generic as opposed to buyer or seller generic, right? Again, all of those were in the Marketing Center. If you click the menu in the top left, once you get into the Marketing Center, you'll see video content right there. All right, and then a question from Helen. How often do they update the videos? Again, I think I may have already addressed that. I just saw your question though. So this market stats, they will do once a month and the others are fairly timeless. So they won't change hardly at all unless something really new and different hits the market and goes into that homeowner category. They're probably going to stay the same for long term. All right. And backing up just a bit under leads, the system says that I have several phone click leads. What does that mean? So a phone click lead on HAR's system, we don't consider it a lead unless the consumer provides some sort of information like a phone number to reach them back or an email to reach them. There is a place on HAR where they can click and view your phone number. And that's all that means is they have clicked that link to be able to view what your phone number was. They didn't necessarily call you. They didn't submit, again, they didn't complete a form and submit any contact info. So it's not truly a lead in the sense that you are expecting. We can't make them call you even though they've clicked and looked at your phone number. So that's probably what you're looking at there, Sharon. All right. We wish we could make them call you. If only I could make them do that for you, that would be great. Because I know that's a big deal. It would be really a magic tool for that. All right, so moving on into the next few things in the downhill slide on our webinar here today. The Marketing Center, again, has a handful of things that I didn't talk about. It's got more stuff to it than I talked about today, so just be certain that you look through that if you didn't already and see if there are other printables or emailables that you might be interested in. The landing page is something that's covered in our How to Enhance Your HAR website class or tools classes as well. Where I'm headed next are these paid ads, the Facebook and Google ads. You can get to it through the Marketing Center. You can also get to it through the tools menu. It's just a matter of, again, choosing the platform, Facebook or Google, and then clicking start. And this would be to showcase your own listings. So this is not going to work with not your listings. It'll only work with your own personal listings right now. There is a question in the chat. Sharonda, thank you so much for that. Showing smart. I will bring that up toward the end of the webinar. Again, even though it's not part of the bulleted items that I mentioned, I did want to be sure to mention that to you guys today. So stay tuned. I'll be glad to mention it here in just a sec. All right, so the Facebook ads, again, pretty self-explanatory in terms of the process to go through. You click on create new ad, and then it will take you to your inventory that you have in MLS right now. And you just simply click create ad on whichever property it is you'd like to use. And then either a carousel with multiple photos or a single image ad, whichever you choose. The minimum budget for a Facebook ad is $11 through our system. We already have built sort of a wizard, if you will, for creating the ad. You can go to Facebook. You can create the ad from scratch in Facebook and be able to customize your interest categories or key terms. It may cost something different depending on how much you want to boost it and all of that. But we've just kind of streamlined the process in this HAR tool. So that's why there's a minimum budget here. We've already pulled all the property data for you, the description, the headline, etc., and the property photos from MLS, photo or photos. I picked a single photo ad, so I only have the one primary photo. You can click here to change that photo. Again, it'll pull up up to 50 properties that you have in MLS, so you can switch out that photo if you'd like. The labels are actually little graphics. So if you click on add label, you've got a just listed, price reduced, or open house graphic that you can add onto the if you'd like to do that. Right? If it is an open house, you're going to want to come down into this little box of text here and be sure that you add in information about that open house, that it's opened, again, Sunday 2 to 4 p.m. or whatever the timing might be, so that consumers know. And then in the upper right corner, the audience, picking who is going to see this ad. Facebook ads go to people that you are not already connected on Facebook for the most part. That's the whole point of them. It gets you outside your same audience. It's not just your friends or those who've already followed your business page. It's folks within a certain mileage radius. I'm sure you've seen this on Facebook. If you happen to open Facebook on your cell phone while you're visiting grandma or whatever, you may see ads for restaurants in the area or stores in the area, things like that. It's using your geographic location to track if you're an appropriate audience for that ad. If you're geographically close to this listing, you might be more likely to be interested in this listing. So you would choose either 15 all the way up to 50, whatever mileage radius you'd like there. And it will look for consumers that are geographically within that range. Under interest categories, we've already embedded these into the ad. So it's looking for anybody who may have used these key terms on their browser, for instance. So if they've Googled first-time home buyer, something like that, they're going to be a target for that ad, as well as those that are geographically close. Again, your minimum budget is $11. For that $11, you can see it's projecting between 597 and 3,374 people will see my ad. If I up that a little bit, let's say I want to spend $25, it almost more than doubles my target audience. I don't know of any other marketing piece that you can use to spend so little and hit potentially so many as your target audience. It's very cost effective, very simple to set up. If you're, again, using the HAR tool, you can, again, go to Facebook and create it from scratch and build it and have more flexibility, more customization, but you're not necessarily guaranteeing yourself a different set of eyeballs. This, again, is laying this out for a consumer to see. We can't make them click it, though we would hope that they would be interested enough to click it once they got to our ad. It's going to track that for you, though. Once you create the ad, down here at the bottom, you're going to schedule when you want it to start and when you want it to end. My fake open house I keep talking about between 2 and 4 on Sunday. You would want this to end on Sunday at 4 p.m. so that you're not advertising an open house that isn't happening any longer. So just be mindful of the schedule. And then agree to the terms and create your ad. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to spend Shad's money, but that's all you would have to do. And then it would allow you to market that again to Facebook or Google, whichever you had picked, and then it will generate a report for you. Back in the dashboard here, let me just pull up Facebook ads and show you a report that was created on one of his listings. You're going to get emailed this report as well, so you don't necessarily have to find it. It is in the tools. I'll tell you what I did. I just typed Facebook to find it and then clicked the Facebook ads. Technically, it's in tools and marketing tools and Facebook ads as well. But you'll be emailed the report, and then it will show you how many people clicked the link, the reach of the ad and the impressions of the ad, and all of these things are explained here. Basically, there were 418 clicks of this ad, 382 unique clicks. So some of these folks clicked it more than once. So only 382 individuals, but 382 individuals clicked on his link on his ad, and he only spent $20 and got 382 sets of eyeballs on that particular property. If you think it through, how many buyers do you need for the property? One, right? So I only need to try to find that one magic buyer out of the 382. Again, we don't know the names and contact information of those people. Facebook isn't going to give away all the contact information of its users, but we do know that it was productive. We do know it helped. It reached about 1,400 people. Again, reach is defined here versus impressions, the number of unique Facebook users viewing your ad, sorry. All right. And then the number of times your ad was viewed. Impressions versus reach. Reach is going to be people who are seeing it on their actual timeline, who may have clicked through. Impressions is just more the number of times the ad was run. So it was somewhere on a page in Facebook, but it wasn't necessarily in front of a consumer's eyes in the way it was on the reach. So I typically focus more on the reach number and the unique clicks numbers, because those are a little bit more realistic numbers for me. All right. So that is Facebook ads. The Google ads work very similarly. It's just Google as the platform instead of Facebook. And the minimum is $25 on a Google ad as opposed to $11 on the Facebook ads. Again, it's just how Google works. You can change that budget if you need to and up that a little bit. Again, same type of geographical parameters, 15 up to 50 miles. And then you do have a little bit more flexibility in customizing this. You can change the headline. You can change the search terms, adding new or tweaking the ones that were there. We automatically put a handful in there for you, but you can, again, change those or delete those if you need to do that. And then it's just a matter of completing the steps on the right. Again, be mindful of your start and end date. If it's an open house, like I said before, you don't want that ad running outside the times that the open house is occurring. You don't want it to advertise an open house that isn't happening any longer than that, right? Again, click agree to the terms and create the ad, and you would be done. All right. So Google ad is a minimum of 25, and then the Facebook ad is a minimum of 11. And both of those are about set for 7 days. And you can factor about $2 per day for a Facebook ad. And I think it's about $5 per day above and beyond that 7 days if you want to run it for longer. Budget your money accordingly based on that scenario. All right. All right, so finishing out the last few things on my agenda, and then I will end with showing Smart. It's brand new and also in a way coming soon. It's only available to a select few right now. I want to touch on Market Insight and then Home Site, and we'll wrap it up. All right, so again, just using my quick search to find Market Insight. It does technically live in Tools and Marketing Tools and about halfway down. Market Insight is an automated report that you can send to your sellers. Again, I talked about this just briefly in my intro. You can also use it to create a prospective report. So if you're trying to get a listing, this could be a report that you use for that reason. We'll start with the current listings version. And if you'll notice down here toward the bottom are all Shad's listings. And if you click the little piece of paper with the plus in front of it, it will allow you to create a new. The little eyeball lets you preview. There's not a lot to preview yet since I didn't create it. So we'll walk through the steps first, and then we'll preview what we created. So just clicking on the little icon to start the process. There are technically only 3 steps. The first is all three of them really are a little cart before horse, because if, again, you haven't previewed it, you don't know what kind of page you're creating just yet. So you're trying to make some choices about displaying certain things on a report that you haven't seen before. But just looking at this, the listing traffic report is going to be the number of times folks have clicked the detail page on har.com to view your listing on a mobile device and or on our website, what the appointments were set, how many were canceled, etc. And then the subdivision and zip code price trend reports are going to be pulling general data on the whole subdivision and the whole zip code. So not specific to your listing, but specific to those larger geographic areas that your listing is in. Comparables, basically what you're choosing is what's active, pending, and sold in the area, what's had a price change. So this report's going to generate a report of stats based on the competition, the actives that are in the market right now. And so you're picking a geographic scope to focus on. It's going to default to the zip code each time. That's a fairly large geographic area, maybe too big, right? If I make it smaller and go to the same subdivision, my numbers drop to 0, but that's okay because that's a true reflection of that market right now. And those numbers could change tomorrow, next week, in a month, right? This report is something that you can choose to email either once a week or once a month. So the stats, it's still going to show stats. It's still going to show what's happening in the neighborhood, either, again, the subdivision or the zip code, and then list out what's available nearby. It's okay, again, if it says zeros here, you're still going to end up with an okay report. I'm going to switch it back to the zip code just so we have a little bit more robust report and to show you that. Your other geographic parameter options are 1/2 mile up to a 2-mile radius around that subject property, a very large geographic space in the geo market areas here. And then last but not least, you can draw on the map. So if you want to keep it inside the loop or north of I-10 or whatever it might be, you can draw just very much like you can do in Matrix using a freeform polygon for that shape. And it'll look in that shape instead, whatever that is. All right. And again, we've got some listings that have had price reductions and that are active for sale. So whatever works best for that scenario. You can go back and change any of these parameters anytime, and it will instantly change that and be able to email the report to the consumer with the new parameters. All right. Question about the recording. Yes, anybody who registered will get a recording of the webinar. So no worries there. You'll be able to see the whole thing in its entirety with that link. So moving through here, single family homes only. It's only going to compare the same type of property to the same type of property. So it's not including comparing rentals to high rises or single family homes to townhomes or anything like that. And then it does know the list price of that subject property based on the fact that it's in MLS. The default here is to swing 15% above and below that to look for other active properties and to swing 250 square feet above and below that subject property in order to find comps for the report to build the statistics. You can change that, of course, if you want to go as far as 25 or as low as 3% financial swing or as high as a 2,000 square footage swing, you can do that. Showing the sold price itself, the actual sold price is an option. It will show a sold price by default. You can check this little box to show a range instead. Sometimes it's a little hard to talk people out of numbers once you've shown them. This again is going to the seller of your listing. So you already have that relationship with them. They're your client. So it's a little more safe, for lack of a better term, to show them actual sold prices on other properties around them. But again, sometimes you just know your target audience, right? Sometimes you just know if you tell them something in the area sold for X dollars, but that home was way more up to date, had a lot more bells and whistles than their home does, and they're never going to be able to achieve that number. Maybe it's better to show a price range as opposed to individual sold prices for reasons like that. And then lastly, but not least, I mentioned you could send it weekly or monthly. The weekday version goes out on whatever day it is. Today it's presuming Thursday because today is Thursday, but you can choose whatever day of the week that you want. I've had several realtors tell me they just love to send them out on Mondays, so each of their clients gets that little warm fuzzy report, at the beginning of each week. Some others have told me they like to send them out every Friday so that the consumer goes into the weekend with that warm fuzzy type report update on their market area. Whatever you'd like, it's up to you. They go out early in the morning, 6-ish to 8-ish a.m. on average, depending on how many are in the queue for that particular day. The monthly update goes out usually in the first week of the month sometime, and again, early in the morning. The last option here is to make sure that you carbon copy yourself. You want to do that so that you know what went, when it went, what it has in it. Again, the worst thing you can do on any marketing piece is not know what's in it and have a consumer ask you about that and have to go, yeah, I don't know. Because I don't pay attention to my own marketing that I'm sending you. All right. Next step is going to pop up the option to email that out. Again, we've not seen it at all, and I never want to send anything that I haven't previewed first. So I'm just going to click this little X to close, and then I have the option to preview right there. It was not there as I was building it, but it's there now that I've gone on to the next step. And here's what we made. Our market insight, again, is pivoting. The hinge point is Shad's listing on 4227 Wickstone. As we scroll down, here's a market overview, an analysis of those things that are currently for sale. We have 5 available for sale as competition. The average list price of those is $221,000. Average square footage is 2,100 unchanged. Average days on market is 4. Keep going. Excuse me, and you get similar stats on properties that have sold. And then it details out those actual listings. So here's a map of where the listing on a Wickstone is and the actives and solds nearby. And then it gives details on those individual listings. And they can click those to see more information as well. Everything here is going to be branded with your information. So everything in this case will say Shad Bogany, even though these aren't his listings, it's all going to say presented by Shad Bogany. So you don't have to worry about them accidentally leaving your contact info or your page and meandering off to someone else. Moving into the other sections of this report, valuation. These are going to be third-party evaluations. Price, I'm sure you've heard of Zillow. Whether you know the term AVM or not, you probably know the term Zillow. Basically, automated valuation models is what AVMs are. They're taking some general knowledge of property information and converting them into a guesstimate or estimate of a starting point, essentially, of market value for that property. You can see here we have Black Knight, CoreLogic, and Zillow, and then the appraisal district. In my limited experience here, I generally find the appraisal district numbers to be the lowest of the 4. That's just what you're paying taxes on. That's not a guesstimate of resale value or current market conditional value of that property. So that one doesn't change constantly the way a real estate market value would. It is done, once a year for tax assessment purposes, and that's it. So that's not necessarily what they can get for their home, but one sure hopes they could get at least that, given that they're paying taxes at that amount. Looking at Black Knight and CoreLogic, those are real estate data vendors. CoreLogic is the company that provides us Matrix and Matrix Tax and Realist Tax. So they have access to actual sold property data and active MLS data. You can see there they're guesstimating at 185. Black Knight also uses MLS data. They're guesstimating at 188. So those two are really, really similar. You can see down below their confidence score based on other listings about the same shape, size, and geography as this one. They have been right in their guesstimate about 88% of the time. CoreLogic's been right in their guesstimates about 77% of the time. If you'll notice, Zillow is a much higher number. Zillow uses user-added content, so I could just go to Zillow and register and say my house is worth $90 bazillion, and they go, and they factor those in. So those numbers can fluctuate a lot because of that user-added content as well. All right. Across the top here, the listing traffic report I mentioned, how many folks have viewed and clicked through either on the HAR website or the HAR app on this particular listing. Appointments are just that, however many appointments were set up, canceled, whether the owner canceled it or the agent canceled it. There'll be sort of a running tally of that. We pull information from the showing time, showing service in this case. If that's tied to your listing, we also pull information from the Supra lockbox. So if you're using a different scheduling type service or you're scheduling your own appointments, we'll still have some data based on the opening of the lockbox. Comparables, again, are going to be just those properties in the area. It's the same results essentially as the first screen that we looked at together. This is just pulling in more data, and it allows the consumer to filter it a little bit more. So we can look at more recent or less recent activity. Things for lease are going to show up in this version. Only those for sale or recently sold. So again, they could just filter it and look at it a little bit differently. And then the last two pieces are the price trends in the subdivision and zip code. Looking at this particular property, maybe the list price was $255,000, and this is saying the median appraised value is $139,000. This number is not helping me. When I'm setting up the report, I can simply just turn off the price trend in the subdivision report. If these numbers don't support what I'm trying to achieve or trying to convince the seller to achieve, then just don't include that piece of the report. Hence the preview. It's really important to look at over first and make really sure that these numbers help the scenario you're trying to achieve. All right. So going back to where we were building it in this reports and tools section now is where we can turn on and turn off different features. So if I found that subdivision report was not helpful, I could just simply disable it. And now the consumer just simply doesn't get that one piece. They won't know it's missing. The button or the menu item up here just disappears. All right. So this is the version of the report that was built off of a current listing. So backing up just a little bit to where we started in tools, marketing tools, market insight, that prospective report. So let's say I am going to try to get a listing and I want to create a report for that prospective seller, or there's a question in the chat, perfect timing, May. I couldn't have planted you for better timing. The prospective report would allow you to do this for a potential buyer as well. You do have to have an address as the hinge point for the report. So when you click on the prospecting listing/lessor, if you click create market insight, you do have to have an address. The address has to have a tax record. So that's really it. Let's say maybe the buyer wanted to buy 1234 Maple Street. It's sold already, but what I want to show them is, don't worry, there are other listings in that same market, zoned to the same schools, just right next door to where you were hoping to live is another house that's going to look, maybe fit the bill, right? So I could use that particular property, let me just put in an address here, as the hinge point for my market insight report. This could, again, also be the prospective seller, right? Maybe they've briefly contacted me and hinted at wanting to maybe list their home. Maybe possibly, I'm not sure, right? They're in that sort of lukewarm stage, as I call it. I can set this up to email them once a week or once a month and give them an update on their market. So I'm top of mind once a week or once a month. They're getting information from me. I'm not being really pushy, but I'm not letting them forget my name either, all right? So once you have that property address in there, it's going to ask you if you want to do a seller or homes for sale focused report or homes for lease focused report. It's again pulling in from the tax records here, some square footage, tax evaluation, price, the subdivision, even the zip code. You can change that number. So if you've already done a quick CMA and matrix or something like that, and you think the property could sell more at 165, just put that number in instead. Just like we had before, it's going to use that 15% swing above and below this number to find comps for you, and the 3% up to 250 square feet up to 2,000 square feet to find your comps for your report. All right. Next step is, again, the 3 steps we did before together. We're going to have fewer pieces of information in this report because it's not in MLS. It's not going to have the listing traffic report. It's not going to have anything related to appointments because it has to be in MLS and hit har.com for those things to happen, right? So again, your subdivision and zip code trends, the comp options. Let me see if I can get a little bit bigger here. Find some listings. Be all right. Property type, single family. Again, your 15% default swing and your 250% default swing, but you can change that. On this prospective or prospecting report, I would very definitely encourage you to do the sold price range. We don't want to give away all our golden nuggets to a consumer that hasn't signed up as a client with us yet, right? This is still in that looky-loo phase, the maybe possibly might list with us phase. So don't give away that data. That's my motherly advice. All right. And then once a week or once a month, just like you had before, Send yourself a copy so you know what went and when it went. Next step allows you to go ahead and begin the process of emailing it out. I, again, click the X to cancel that so I can preview and be sure it looks like what I need it to look like. I can go into reports and tools and turn on and off different pieces if that's what I need to do. And then when I'm ready to send it in this section right here where it says choose contact to invite, I put their email address or addresses and send that report by email. The first one goes right now, and then it'll go once a week or once a month by the schedule that you chose. Okay. And that is it for Market Insight. The last piece to talk about is Home Site. It's also in our Tools and then Marketing Tools section. You can see down here, it's third from the bottom. Home Site. This is actually a separate web page made on your listings. Again, it's tied to the Platinum package, as are the things that I've been talking about today. It happens automatically. You just go get yourself some listings. I know I make that sound super easy. It's not that easy, I realize all the time. Once you have a listing and you put it into Matrix, our system is automatically going to make this extra website for you. I'm going to go to har.com like a consumer would, and let me click on more filters. Let's just search in a zip code, make it quick. All right. And then let me find one that I know has what I need. So this is the standard display page of your listings on HAR. We've got this little carousel of property photos across the top that the consumer can look through. You can see all, again, the property detail page with room sizes, remarks, whatever the consumer is supposed to see is released from MLS onto this page and configured into the property profile page. Hiding in plain sight up in the upper left area down below the address is the property website. It's called property website on the public side of things, and it's called Home Site, all one word, HOMESITE, on your side when you're logged into the member portal. The property website is an additional web page about that property. So previewing that one, you can see it looks similar. It's got larger photos, but still the same sort of carousel to it. It's including the written descriptions of those photos, which it did not in the previous view. Scrolling through, I've got the description of the property, ways to reach the agent. So it looks an awful lot like what we just looked at. The big perk of the home site is in this page, the consumer is trapped in a good way. They are looking at nothing but what is related to this particular property. In the previous version, they could easily go through to the rest of the parts of har.com and get off of your listing detail page. So if I'm the listing agent and I share this link to get to this page, I'm losing some of my power to capture leads. Sure, they can come through and click schedule showing, fill out the form. All of those lead capture options are there. They also can leave this page fairly easily and go look at other things on HAR. But on the home site page, it's going to confine them just to a page that routes leads to me only. So that's the big perk of the home site. So if I'm the listing agent, I want to be really sure to share this page, this link to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, by email, whatever it might be, and drum up more consumer leads that way. Still have the request for showing. They can view virtual tours. Again, they're viewing the properties, room sizes, all the good information about the property with that extra lead caption opportunity built in. All right. So that brings me to the last of my bulleted list. There's one other thing that I want to throw in here real quickly. The Idx Tools and Widgets was on my agenda for the day, just to show that to you. If you have a non-HAR website, tools for your non-HAR website is an option. So tools on the left, and then tools for your non-HAR website down below, and Idx Tools and Widgets. Most of the things that are already built into har.com for you are out there working and doing their thing with not much setup or intervention needed from you. If you have a non-HAR website, we're going to give you all the code to a lot of these tools so that you can incorporate them to your own website. If you wanted to have a, MarilynMaxwell.com with the ability to provide consumers a property search or whatever, you just simply come to this IDX area, get the code, copy it, and paste it so you then have that functionality on your non-HAR website as well. Right. Again, you don't need to do anything really to configure most of the tools on HAR. We've done that for you, especially if you're using our website, but this gives you some extra information that you can use outside of har.com. And the last thing to kind of introduce to you is Showing Smart. There's a little blurb for it here. Right now it's in the alpha phase, so there's a select few agent members that are on our technology advisory committee that are testing the product right now. It will be opening up for beta testing in the next, in the near future, next couple of weeks or a month or two, and everyone will have access to it at that time. Showing Smart is a manned call center type showing service that we have created for you. You'll be able to add the phone number to your listings, and then anyone who wants to make an appointment will call that phone number. HAR staff will answer those phones, make the appointments for you, and handle all of the showing instructions and getting them to the showing agent. You'll be responsible for putting your showing instructions onto the listing information page, but then the HAR staff at the call center will handle all of the setting of the appointment, calling the seller, etc. So be on the lookout for that. Again, it launched in alpha testing about a week and a half ago, weekish ago, and in the very near future, it will launch for beta testing where everyone will have access to that. So coming soon. All right, so going to questions here in my chat. I subscribed for a vow as if I were a consumer and it never sent an email. Potentially it went to your junk or spam. Is the best I can guess on that one, DJ. Sorry about that. Can you have multiple websites or is only one website? HAR only provides one website. You can have a non-HAR website. So you could have something for your company or buy your own domain and create something. So you technically could have more than one. You just have to be sure that you're maintaining content on those multiple websites if you choose to do that. You just have the one provided through HAR if you'd like to use our template. And then Sharon is asking about cost for showing time. Showing Smart. There is no cost for Showing Smart initially. Eventually, depending on how our call center works, how many people participate, how much staff it costs to man it, there may eventually be a cost for that. Don't know if that would be rolled into the Platinum package or a standalone product or how that would work. But once it's in, while it's in alpha and beta, there'll be no cost for that. It'll just be a service provided. All right. And again, I'm recording this and anyone who registered will receive a link from me. So you'll be able to go back and watch the whole thing as many times as you want. You'll receive an email directly from me once the video has posted. It just takes a couple of days for it to render, to get edited, and then to get posted. So just give me a couple of days, but I hope to have it out to you at the very latest by the beginning of next week. All right. We still technically have just a couple more moments left to the session today. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Something maybe not even related to a topic that I covered today? Did you learn at least one new thing today? I hope you did. Hope it was well worth your time. Thank you all so much for being on board. I know that quite a lot of you registered at the last moment once I put that pop-up ad in Matrix. So thank you very much for kind of dropping everything and popping in. It was wonderful to have such a great group online, and thank you all very much for your great questions. If you have any other information if you need help, you need other information, let me just switch back over to my PowerPoint here. Feel free to reach out. Again, this is what I do. I'm a full-time employee here at HAR, so you are welcome to email or call if I can be of assistance. And don't forget to join us on our live labs, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 until 12. Noon. We have a live instructor. I typically facilitate the Tuesday sessions. Shanice Choate typically facilitates the Thursday sessions. So if you do come up with questions and you'd like a live answer to that with a live instructor demonstrating Tuesday and Thursday, 10 to 12. And then the second Wednesday of each month from 6 to 8 p.m., we also have a live lab session as well. And Richard Aguilar, my fellow instructor, hosts that session. All right. And to all of you saying thank you, you are most welcome. Thank you all for being here and taking your time to spend with me today. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again so much for your participation. See you online again soon. Bye-bye.